This case began with a rather awful home invasion and assault, which left one victim with physical injuries, but also inflicted shock on the principal victim and a secondary victim who had been a witness to the events. The victims sought compensation in the New South Wales Victims of Crime legislation. Compensation was available for shock, but only if the symptoms and disability persist for more than 6 weeks. The legislation identified certain symptoms of shock and certain disabilities arising from shock. The question that had to be tackled by the courts was whether symptoms and disabilities meant that a person had to have both the symptoms of shock and disabilities arising from shock, or whether one of those would be enough. Normally the word "and" is conjunctive, so normally the requirement to have symptoms and disability would mean you needed both. But in this case, would it make sense for the Parliament to say that a person who was suffering from the symptoms of shock more than 6 weeks after being the victim of a crime should not be entitled to compensation? Or would it make more sense to read the word "and" to actually mean "or"? It could be done. For instance, if you recast the sentence in the statute, you could suggest that what it actually means is there are 2 ways to qualify for the compensation. The first is to have symptoms for 6 weeks, and the second is to have a disability for 6 weeks. In that case, the word "and" is still in the middle of the sentence, but you wouldn't need both symptoms and disability in order to qualify. The High Court had to work out just how the word "and" was being used. Justice Hayden started with the view that the word "and" must be used conjunctively, unless there was some compelling reason not to. He found no such reason in this case. In particular, he noted, "The idea that symptoms alone are not enough to attract compensation for shock, but must be accompanied by disability, is not harsh, irrational, or anomalous, particularly since non-medical opinion is often very suspicious about claims that shock is causing the degree of harm alleged." The result was that because the victims could show symptoms lasting more than 6 weeks, but no disability lasting that long, they were not entitled to compensation.